Today I'm going to talk about something very important, and it is on the art of survival. Sun Tzu wrote the book Art of War as a set of principles of how to survive. Sun Tzu didn't write Art of War for you to fight wars, more wars, but it's really for survival through peace. Sun Tzu abhorred wars of all kinds, especially what we have now, nuclear warfare. Objectively speaking, Ukraine crisis, right, shows very clearly to me that the leadership in the West, the quality of leadership has declined. And I'm merely saying this, of course it pained me because I had a Western education. My PhD is from St. Andrews. Really that the leaderships in the West are really one-sided. There's a lack of empathy, the lack of the quality of deep thinking that's expected of leaders, really good leaders. And what's happening now in Europe, the G7, whatever you have, the leaders are simply groupthink, and therefore they're taking more risks. What I'm saying is, in psychology, when a group make a decision, the risk they assume will be higher than one single individual thinking through. Now you look at Russia. Russia was the former USSR, the Soviet Union. They did try, at the end of 1989, to rejoin the world. And what happened? Right? Russia wasn't welcomed into the community. That's a fact, historical fact. And what happened was that in intervening years, since 1989 to now, there has been NATO encroaching on the space that Russia will feel secure. Now, it is very important that leaders have empathy, the other side of the issue. Russia needs security. And I think the most damaging evidence against the West is the fact of the biolabs. And there's real existence of Nazism as found by the Russians recently in Mariupol. Now, I think it is very important that Europe leaders think logically and think deeply. You don't want to aggravate a situation. The situation could lead to peace. Now, I'll be blunt with you. I think Europe is the major cause of problems for the First World War, the Second World War. And now, if this leads to a world conflict, it won't be a World War III. From my perspective, it is a World War II plus, meaning to say that, the US is still pursuing, the objective of ideological warfare. It's so unnecessary, right? China has done a lot of good to the world. They've lifted up poverty of half its population, of 1.4 billion, out of poverty, and prosperity is coming to China. And I think it's important that we realize the world is about humanity. It's about people. It's not about, money. It's really about people and the welfare of the people. Money is just a tool to it. But then what is happening now is that if Finland and Sweden were to join NATO out of their own fear for survival, that would actually bring about a situation where the whole world may be put at risk. I'll come to that later. Now, what I've shown in this video, the picture really is that Putin had a warm lightning response. And I think you must accept the fact that Putin does say what he does. He's a serious leader, deep thinking leader. That's to be fair to him. And when he says lightning response, he means really lightning response. And then we should, but we must ask ourselves a very important question. Why are we pushing Russia to the edge? Yes, we are pushing Russia to the edge. And you find that, right, he's referring reference there to UK. And it would be such a sad thing if this really happened. And we should avoid it at all costs. We should bring peace to Ukraine, real ceasefire. And what NATO had done what the US has done was to dump in more and more weaponry into Ukraine. It's so unnecessary. Don't aggravate the situation. And the sanctions it causes world crisis in terms of food and energy for people of the world. I think we should not. I think the West, has to learn a lot from China. How Chinese resolve issue, and Chinese is always yin and yang. We always look at two aspects of the thing, rather than in the West where you look at one side only. It's so one-sided, and it is. I'm glad that Putin did not declare mobilize the country and Russia for another great patriotic war too. So we have to take advantage of the reprieve during this period to really find a solution to peace. And I've shown there, right, UK defenses against nuclear, right? It's a submarine, right? The survival of the civilization. But then that doesn't help at all, because UK will be disseminated by the nuclear warfare, and all this could be prevented. It could have been prevented. And I think what we want, speaking from Asia, I'm in Singapore, is that we are looking at the survival of the world, and we should not threaten the survival. And Asia as a whole is growing up. The economies are recovering, and Asia is just beginning to really get into the swing of things. And largely due to the economy, the rising economy of China. And I believe that we all should try to prevent outbreak of a nuclear war, whether it is tactical or it is strategic nuclear. There's no need for that. You should try to understand that the crisis actually started in 2014, and it's not just now. So Russia has a legitimate concern for their security. Thank you.